whatever the suspect had going on with the adult victims had nothing to do with the 10-month-old child. She was completely innocent. She wasn't even old enough to identify them, tell anybody what happened or anything. So it just puzzles us as to why someone could be so cruel to hurt a baby.
What happened at this house on India Avenue wasn't just any fire. The bodies of Arielle's parents were also found at the house. Detective Oliver calls it one of the worst cases he's had to work in his 20-year career.
Unfortunate situation. We all are hurt right now and, trying to cope.
Today, police confirmed they are investigating the family's deaths as a triple murder.
Today, we shine light on QuaSean Trotter, Ariyan Johnson, and Arielle Trotter. Born in 1997 to Andrew Trotter and Natasha Richardson, QuaSean Trotter spent part of his childhood in South Carolina. When he and his siblings were still young, the family moved to the Arlington area of East Jacksonville, Florida, a rough neighborhood known by many locals as Sin City due to its history of crime and social challenges. Those who knew QuaSean described him as a kind, respectful young man who was deeply devoted to his family. He enjoyed football, fishing, and spending time with those closest to him. Having younger siblings, QuaSean naturally became a role model. His mother said the values she instilled in him shaped how he became a father. His loved ones often said at just 20 years old, QuaSean had a caring, protective nature and was someone who always provided for and looked after his family. While attending Terry Park High School, QuaSean met Ariyan Johnson. The two quickly fell in love, and what began as a high school romance grew into a serious, long-lasting relationship. Friends and relatives recall that the two were inseparable. After graduating with the class of 2016, the couple became engaged and began planning a life centered around their family. Born in 1998, 19-year-old Ariyan was described as beautiful, intelligent, and incredibly creative. Family and friends stated that although she was naturally quiet, her gentle personality left a lasting impression on everyone she met. A soft-spoken, kind-hearted young woman admired for both her warmth and determination. Her love for fashion and design and her entrepreneurial spirit led her to launch an online boutique and also start making and selling candied fruit. She was determined to turn her passion into a successful business. Shortly after graduating, Quasean and Ariyan found out they were expecting their first child. Family members said they were overjoyed. Quasean was especially excited to learn they were having a baby girl, and they both embraced parenthood with enthusiasm. Family and friends described the young couple as very mature and deeply committed to supporting and caring for each other. By early 2017, their daughter Arielle Trotter had arrived and quickly became the center of their world. They were committed to giving her the loving childhood they had always envisioned. Quasean and Ariyan worked hard to create a safer, more stable environment for Arielle, far removed from the rough area they had grown up in. Relatives would often say Arielle was the spitting image of her dad. She was described as a happy baby who filled the home with laughter and love, and had already begun to have his personality. By 11 months old, Arielle was thriving at KinderCare Learning Center, where she quickly adjusted and blossomed. Their families were close-knit and always at the heart of everything they did. Even relatives outside of Florida stayed closely involved through daily phone and FaceTime calls, sharing Arielle's growth and celebrating each milestone. The holidays were just around the corner and held a special place that year. It would have been baby Arielle's very first Christmas.
In this video Ariyan Johnson posted to Facebook Sunday, she and QuaSean Trotter appear happy. Same with this one, showing Johnson and their 11-month-old Arielle checking out a Christmas light display.
Oh, she liked that one. I went by too fast.
Tuesday, December 12, 2017 seemed like an ordinary day for the Trotter Johnson family. But before the evening was over, tragedy would strike, leaving behind one of Jacksonville, Florida's most heartbreaking unsolved cases. Quasean, Ariyan, and their daughter Arielle were staying the night at a friend's house on the 8900 block of Indiana Avenue in the Woodland Acres area. Sometime between 6:30 and 7 o'clock that evening, a nearby resident later reported hearing what sounded like 4 gunshots. Yet because gunfire was not unheard of in the area, no one called the police. Then at approximately 8:30 p.m., the first dispatch call came in, as neighbors and passing drivers noticed smoke pouring from the residence.
On December 12, 2017, at approximately 8:30 p.m., the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the Jacksonville Fire Rescue responded to 8916 India Avenue in reference to a house fire. When they arrived, they made forced entry into the residence. Once inside, they found 20-year-old QuaSean Trotter deceased. They found 19-year-old Ariyan Johnson deceased and 10-month-old Arielle Trotter, all deceased inside the residence. It was very obvious that the adult victims were shot before the fire started. Her parents' death was probably pretty acute from where they were shot. And then the baby suffers the most. She's in the house, she's inhaling the smoke, and she dies from the smoke inhalations. What this is basically where she lays on the floor. This is a silhouette of her body face down on the floor with a void of the soot around her body until she's found. So this tells us that at some point she's walking around the house and she's between her two parents or walking toward the direction where her mother was when she collapsed. At this point, we know, after reviewing the autopsy results, we know that she's collapsing from breathing in all the smoke from the house being set on fire.
Earlier, we spoke with a man who says he heard 4 distinct gunshots out here before police responded to this home. We spoke exclusively with a man who didn't want to be identified, but says he heard gunshots Tuesday night.
It was about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I heard 4 rounds, 4 gunshots, really loud, really loud. I automatically went back inside and waited a few minutes because I know how things are around here.
Is it possible that it was from something else?
No, I heard it. It had to be this.
Approximately 2 hours after neighbors recalled hearing what sounded like gunshots, a young family was found deceased. Authorities believe that after the shootings, the Christmas tree was intentionally set on fire in what appeared to have been an attempt to destroy evidence and cover up the crime. They were left with a chilling mystery, and finding answers would turn out to be much harder than anyone expected. Initially, many believed the home on Indiana Avenue belonged to Quasean and Ariyan, but as the case progressed, investigators discovered that wasn't true. According to investigators and family members, Quasean, Ariyan, and baby Arielle had their own apartment elsewhere in Jacksonville and were only staying overnight at a friend's residence on Indiana Avenue. They had only been at the home a short time before the attack. That single detail changed the direction of the investigation entirely. Instead of only asking who committed this crime, investigators were now faced with even more perplexing questions. Family members have said the couple was careful about who they associated with and kept a relatively small circle of friends, making the circumstances surrounding this crime even more puzzling. Detectives quickly determined there were no signs of forced entry into the home, a detail that has remained one of the most significant clues in the investigation.
Family says the 3 lived in an apartment in Jacksonville, but that night they were staying at a friend's house on India Avenue.
The victims had not been in the house very long. There was no signs of a break-in or anything like any type of forced entry by a suspect.
With no evidence of a break-in, investigators have considered the possibility that the person who entered was either known to the victims and let inside, or perhaps the person had their own access to the residence. Authorities have never publicly released whether the friend was at home when the family arrived or at any time that night. The friend's identity has also never been disclosed and remained closely guarded by law enforcement. Investigators also carefully examined the damage to the residence itself.
Thursday, detectives and crime scene technicians were back at the home and seemed to focus on the backyard. That's also where Action News Jack's cameras captured a broken window with shattered glass and burned belongings on the ground.
While crime scene experts concluded this didn't occur from the heat of the fire, authorities have never clarified exactly how the window was broken. sparking speculations about what might have happened in the family's final moments. Investigators have kept many details closely guarded, disclosing only limited information about the evidence found inside or outside the home. Over the years, investigators have said they have continued to pursue tips and revisit the case. However, they have never found a clear motive or publicly identified a suspect.
The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has released very few details about this case, only saying in 2017 that they were working this case as a triple homicide and there was no forced entry into the home. They did not comment for this story, other than to say it was still considered an active investigation.
And some neighbors told us that they could smell burning as early as Tuesday morning, so they were a little confused about the timeline since the family wasn't found in their home until Tuesday night. JSO, JFRD haven't been able to clarify any kind of timeline, and they haven't released any kind of suspect details just yet because it's an ongoing investigation.
Right now, every detective that has touched this case has been very thorough. They are very adamant about getting the person that did this. We would do everything we can. This is beyond the detectives at this point. The community has to come and help us. They have to give us information for us to move forward.
Like many unsolved cases, the lack of arrest and the shock factor have left investigators, families, and the public speculating on various possibilities. Some people have speculated that the couple was involved with illegal activities, but investigators have dismissed that narrative, saying there's no evidence connecting Quasean or Ariyan to that kind of lifestyle. Their family and friends also denied these claims. Others think they may have been the wrong targets, with the attack possibly intended as a warning for someone else connected to the home. Since the family didn't live there, the perpetrator may have been expecting to find the tenant or another resident, but instead came across them. The victim's family believed this could have been a calculated act of betrayal. At the time, Quasean and Ariyan were working, and Ariyan had just started 2 small businesses. Relatives suspect someone close to them may have known about their savings or assumed they kept cash on them, making robbery a possible motive. However, investigators have never confirmed whether anything was taken from the home. While none of these theories have been confirmed by law enforcement, they all circle back to the same question: why was this horrific crime committed? This tragic homicide of a young couple and their baby daughter remains one of Jacksonville, Florida's most heartbreaking unsolved mysteries, and still haunts investigators today. Their loved ones are committed to keeping the memory of this young family alive. They have openly called for additional resources to assist with the case and urge that every possible lead be pursued to ensure that those responsible are brought to justice.
And there are still witnesses in the neighborhood that we know for a fact know what happened, but for whatever reason, they are afraid to come to law enforcement. Right now, every detective that has touched this case has been very thorough. We would do everything we can. This is beyond the detectives at this point. The community has to come and help us. They have to give us information for us to move forward.
Nearly a decade later, the person responsible is still out there. If you have any information, no matter how small, please call the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office or the First Coast Crime Stoppers. No story should be forgotten, no voice should go unheard. Sending my deepest condolences and prayers to the family and friends. I pray you get the justice that you deserve. May QuaSean Trotter, Ariyan Johnson, and baby Arielle rest in peace. Until the next time, I'm Lock Jewel, and thank you for watching Shades of Crime. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and remember to pray. God's listening.